This is Zero Station, broadcasting across the world to the Allied, Axis and Sino-Soviet Union blocs, as well as the countries of the Neutral Nations Organization.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Zero Station, the Dust Warfare podcast from Unit Forward. My name is Alex and today I'm going to take a look at the Operation Achilles beta for Dust Warfare. At the time of recording, the beta has been on for a couple of weeks and has seen some changes as it evolves towards the final product. I'll go over what the PDF contains as well as discussing the units and how it's all shaping up at the moment. Right then, let's go. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about the Operation Achilles beta for Dust Warfare, which was finally started on November 8th, 2013. This is actually only the second expansion this year for Dust Warfare. The other one was, of course, Icarus. Hades was technically December 2012, even though it didn't come out until a few weeks later, a few weeks after that, in the UK. So it's been quite a long wait for, for new rules, new stuff, officially anyway. But the beta is finally happening as I record this. And if you're listening to this at some point in the far future, then, the beta will be out and, it'll probably be tweaked. And who knows, you might have Dust Warfare 3rd edition in your hands, as you listen to this and look back and think, hey, what a lovely beta that was. Anyway, today I'm going to go over the PDF and the rules and stats to see how everything's shaping up so far. And the first thing I have to talk about is the layout of the PDF itself. It looks different to the FFG campaign books and the rulebook as well. Battlefront has done away with a lot of the skeuomorphic design. Skeuomorphic design, if you don't know, is design that attempts to emulate the real world. So whereas the FFG books try to, look like, top secret files and that kind of thing, the Battlefront PDF takes a more flat approach. Everything's flatter. It doesn't try to look like, an army file as such. And one thing I particularly like is the new way that the stats are presented. It's really clear. It looks really classy as well, and it just looks good really. So Victor Pesch over at Battlefront has done a great job in designing the new PDF, and hopefully this is what we can expect from future expansions when when the rules are actually in the operation box from Babylon onwards, and also if there is a Dust Warfare 2nd edition, which I think there will be. Be crazy not to. Then, when that comes out, then hopefully we'll be treated to lots of great, graphic design in that book too. So, on to the rules and stats themselves. And the one thing that caused a lot of heated discussion, let's say, when the when the first PDF came out, because 2 have been released so far, the first PDF and then there was a revised PDF as well. But when the first one came out, the thing that caused a lot of discussion was the Steel Guards and how Battlefront essentially copy-pasted the stats from Tactics over to Warfare, probably just to see how it'll pan out. I mean, they say themselves that they're new to Warfare and to Tactics as well, really. So they didn't really know what they were shooting for when it came to stats for units and that kind of thing. Although there was more discussion around the fact that, Achilles was actually play-tested by FFG and that a lot of the testing was thrown out the window, and Battlefront just decided to go with their own ideas, their own thing. I mean, I wasn't part of that playtesting, so I have no idea what went on there. But yeah, there was a lot of discussion about how the Steel Guards were kind of just pasted from Tactics into Warfare and how they're OP and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And the Steel Guard unit that generated the most discussion was the Sniper Squad, the Silent Death. In the original PDF, these guys had Sniper and Spotter. They're also Armor 4, as all the Steel Guard units are. And, they look really cool in their armor and everything. And so as well as hitting on blanks, which is what the Spotter ability gives them, they had a 30-inch range on their 20mm heavy rifles. They had 2 rifles, not just like, with the other sniper units where only one guy has the sniper rifle and the other guy has the spotter, which gives him the ability to hit on blanks. You know, these guys have 2 sniper rifles, 1 each, and the stats were 4-1, 2-1, 2-1, 1-1 against soldiers, 1, 2, 3, 4 respectively. And even against vehicles, I mean, you know, it's 3-1, 3-1, 2-1, 2-1 from vehicle 1 to 4, and then 1-1 from 5 to 7. So, you know, these guys could do a fair amount of damage, given that, you know, they could, you know, hit on blanks. So, you know, if you roll well, and you just, well, for these guys, and, you know, you roll all blanks, then, you know, these guys could take out a hero in one go. You know, they could just kind of one action shot your hero. So, you know, these guys are pretty powerful, as originally printed. And so there's a lot of discussion, a lot of, you know, playtesting went on. Battlefront's taken a really scientific approach to the playtesting. So instead of just saying a unit is OP, you have to actually play a game, play a playtest game, and prove that they're OP. And the same goes for if a unit is underpowered, UP, as well. You know, you have to prove that they're underpowered. You know, through the method of playtesting. It's a kind of scientific approach to it, and, you know, I mean, it's a good idea instead of just somebody just saying, you know, hey, you know, this unit is OP, everyone, you know, mob rule, you know, everyone, you know, follow me, you know, this unit is really OP, you know, instead of all that kind of stuff going on, which actually happens in some other games. Instead, you know, Battlefront's like, well, you know, if it's OP, prove it, you know, play a game, play a few games to show us that it is actually OP. So, you know, people playtested the Silent Death, and it was found out to be, you know, a little bit overpowered. And so the stats were changed in the second PDF. So instead of Spotter, they now have Sniper and they have Take Aim. Take Aim is from Operations Verograd, or Campaign Books Verograd. And it says that a unit with Take Aim may invert the attack die rolls so that hits are blanks, blanks are hits, when making a sustained attack action. And the Grizzle Veterans ability says that a unit with Grizzle Veterans does not gain a suppression marker from an attack if none of its miniatures are eliminated. So as long as there are 2 of these guys, it's still there in the unit, you know, as long as they're together as part of the same unit, then they cannot be suppressed, which is still pretty powerful. I mean, these guys are still powerful given that they're also armor 4, soldier 4. They roll 4 dice for defense. You know, it's hard to get, you know, it's hard to take these guys down, but at least they're not as unbalanced as they were in the first PDF, although they are still really strong. In the revised version, they also got a slight increase in their points as well. They went from 24 points to 30 points. And the revised version actually also has a unit upgrade for them as well. For 10 AP, you can give them Zvizdeny scopes. Zvizdeny? I can never remember how to pronounce that. Oh, and they can also be taken as a support unit for any SSU platoon. So you don't have to just stick them in a Steel Guard platoon, you can take them in any platoon. So I wouldn't be surprised to see these guys changed further before the beta ends. And, you know, they're not invincible or anything, but they are really strong still, and they'll be appearing in a lot of SSU armies as time goes on. So generally, the SSU has actually benefited greatly from Achilles. I mean, you've got the Red Tornado, which is the Steel Guards Assault Squad. Their command squad isn't horrible either. And actually, they all have Grizzled Veterans. It's not just a sniper team. They all have Grizzled Veterans. So yeah, I mean, they're not horrible at all. There is a typo actually in the revised version of the PDF. The heavy shotgun can take down aircraft. It actually can't. That should be the autogun, which has 3-1, 3-1, 2-1 against aircraft 1, 2, 3, respectively. Yeah, I mean, there are some typos here and there. There were quite a few in the first version. Some of them have been corrected for the second one. There's still some in the second. You know, it's an ongoing process. But hopefully the final product will be, you know, a nice playable set of rules, which will be available for free from the Battlefront website. You'll be able to download these for no charge. Although, of course, from Babylon onwards, the rules are going to be in the operation boxes. Okay, so another addition to the Achilles rules, and Wave 8 generally, were strong points and bunkers. These are the kind of the armored fortifications that, you know, you've probably seen as part of Wave 8, as part of the previews and everything. The strong point is the version without the roof. The bunker is the version with the roof. The strong point is a vehicle 5, DC 15. And the bunker is vehicle 7, DC 25. They're classed as vehicles, although, of course, they don't move. You know, bunkers that move would probably not be out of the realms of, you know, dust and all the weird science and, you know, all the other stuff that goes on in dust. You know, it wouldn't be, you know, completely impossible to include that, I suppose. But, you know, a bunker that moves, that'll be, you know, that'll be maybe asking too much. I don't know. But Anyway, the strong point costs 15 AP, the bunker costs twice that, 30 AP, and they have special abilities, strong point and bunker. And basically, what these abilities do is, it gives them extra. I mean, there are a couple of pages of extra rules in the PDF for for these things. So, for example, when removing suppression, if a unit's in a bunker, then it's treated as having scored 2 additional hits when rolling to remove suppression. If it's in a strong point, then it's treated as having scored 1 additional hit when rolling to remove suppression. So, your units do get benefits from being in bunkers and strong points. And also, they can be crewed by units, their own units themselves, with certain types of weapons appropriate to that, to that faction, to that block. So the allies get a phaser gun or a double phaser gun, can be upgraded. The Axis gets a laser or a double, zwei Laserkanone, and the USSU gets a Tesla gun or a double Tesla gun. So, you can deploy this somewhere on the battlefield and it just stays there for the rest of the game. But hey, you could, maybe put it in a key position where you think your enemy is going to go to, or maybe, help you. It might help you to take an objective, something like that. And also, the fact that bunkers and strong points are in Achilles kind of raises the whole kind of issue again of fortifications. And, why does nobody play fortifications as part of, armies or even competitive armies? So maybe bunkers and strong points might spark a new discussion about fortifications and, when should you take them? Is it a good idea to take them competitively? Kind of discuss them a bit, because they're kind of the forgotten part of Dust generally, not just warfare, tactics as well. They're kind of forgotten in the game. They are there. I mean, fortifications are in the rulebook, but no one seems to take them. No one seems to play them. And the one time that I've seen fortifications even used was actually in a live stream game on YouTube, where 2 Japanese players were actually playing Dust Tactics, and one of them took a strong point in their army. And that's the only time I've ever seen a strong point used. So, or any fortification for that matter. So, yeah, maybe these things will, trigger a new discussion about fortifications and, are they worth it? Are they not worth it? All that kind of stuff. Okay, the next part of the PDF that I want to talk about is the heroes. 2 new heroes were included in Operation Achilles in the box. The new Bazooka Joe and the new Sigrid von Thaler, which is good because now, people who missed out on the original box set and, the limited edition re-release can now get, Sigrid and Joe. And they have been upgraded from their original versions as well. So Bazooka Joe 2.0, or some people like to call him Epic Joe. He's a Soldier 2 still, DC 4, move 6. In the revised PDF, he costs 22 AP. And his special ability is his special abilities is that he can lead any allied platoon except for Action Jackson's paratroops platoon. And if you field him, you cannot field the original Bazooka Joe, because it'd be a bit weird to have 2 Joes running around in the same game, I suppose. Although, if it's a 3-player game, then maybe you can do that. I don't know. It's Dust. Anything could happen. It's weird science and blah, blah, blah. Anything could happen. But anyway, Joe now has a grenade launcher that's been upgraded slightly. It's still got 12-inch range, but it can do 5-1, 4-1, 3-1, 1-1 against soldiers, and 2-1 across the board against vehicles. So, it's beefier generally than his original grenade launcher. And actually, as well as leader, he also gets badass and black ops as well. So generally, his weapon's been upgraded, his abilities have been improved a bit, and Joe is just generally that much better than the original Joe from the original core set. Meanwhile, Sigrid von Thaler, or I should say General Major Sigrid von Thaler, they both heroes got an upgrade. Joe is now Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Brown, and Sigrid von Thaler is now General Major Sigrid von Thaler. She got quite a bit of an upgrade. I mean, Joe was upgraded, yes, but Sigrid in this incarnation, Sigrid 2.0, or Epic Sigrid, I suppose, she's armed to the teeth. The story is that she's going after Joe no matter what. She wants to hunt him down and kill him, and, it's all going to end in the final epic apocalyptic battle, blah, blah, blah. And so in the original Sigrid 1.0, she only had a laser pistol, which was, fine, lasers, reroll hits, that's fine. This Sigrid has a Panzerfaust 100, which, hits infantry and it hits vehicles as well. And she also has a Granatfaust 100 as well. Both of these have 16-inch range. And so, this Sigrid rolls significantly more dice than the original Sigrid, although she's still Soldier 2, DC 4, Move 6, and she costs 24 AP. Her special abilities are Leader. She can lead any Axis platoon except for the Guerrilla platoon and the Zombie platoons. And like Joe, if you take this Sigrid, you can't take the original Sigrid in your army. And she still has Berserk, which, you know, if you add it to, say, Laser Grenadiers, then suddenly the Laser Grenadiers become, you know, pretty playable in Dust Warfare. Although that's the thing that nobody will really want to admit. But hey, you know, it does happen. So both the heroes got a significant upgrade in Achilles. Maybe it's to sell the box set, who knows? But, you know, at least if you missed out on the originals, then you don't have to feel too bad about, you know, tracking them down, unless you really just want them for collection purposes, you know, just to collect them. Because the versions in Achilles are actually better than the originals. So if you missed out on the originals, don't feel too bad. Just go and get Operation Achilles, I suppose. Okay, the next significant addition to the Achilles beta is the addition of armored platoons. These are platoons in which you can basically take a platoon of walkers. Both the Axis and the Allies get one of these. The Axis one is the Panzer Walker platoon, and the Allies platoon is the Armored Walker platoon. And I'm actually a bit conflicted about these platoons. I mean, on the one hand, you know, it is pretty cool to be able to just, you know, now field a platoon of nothing but walkers. However, on the other hand, you know, Dust Warfare was always intended to be, you know, I mean, the platoon structure was always intended to feature infantry first and then have walkers as a sort of, you know, a support thing. So it's a bit, you know, it's a bit weird to see armored platoons in Dust Warfare, although I won't deny that they, you know, it is a cool thing to be able to field these things. And actually, playtest results so far seem to suggest that taking an all-mecha army, you know, an all-walker army, is a really bad idea. You know, you need infantry in there because, you know, there are some things that walkers just can't do, like, for example, claim objectives. So it looks like infantry still has, you know, still very much has a place in the game. And anyone taking an all-walker platoon will probably not do all that well, you know, at the tournament that they play at, or, you know, the game that they use that army in. So anyway, the Axis platoon, the Panzer Walker platoon, only requires one section of infantry. That's the command section. That has to be led by Panzer Prinz, Commander Troop, or any hero that can, you know, lead a platoon through their leader special ability. All vehicles have radio, so they, you know, they take orders as if they were issued via a radio man. And you can also take an additional transport. The platoon can include one additional transport support unit, which must be a Prinzlutar. And you have to pay the AP cost as normal. So, yeah, the first section of this platoon is you can take any Axis armored transport, any light Panzer Walker, or any medium Panzer Walker 2. The second section is the same thing, although it also adds any Schwer Panzer Kampfläufer 3, so basically a Wotan or a Flammlooter. The third section is any light, medium, Schwer Panzer or heavy Panzer Walker. And the fourth section is any medium, Schwer or heavy Panzer Walker. And the support units, one per two sections, just like the other platoons in Dust. The support unit can be Battle Grenadiers, Laser Grenadiers, Recon Grenadiers, Beobachter Team, any Horten 347 aircraft, any Horten 357 aircraft. And at this point I should mention that the designation Horten 357 seems to actually be correct. It's on the Dust Tactics cards, and the Hortens are actually listed in the Achilles beta as Horten 357. So it looks like the Horten 347 on the box of the new Horten is actually a typo. They are actually Horten 357 aircraft. The Laser Horten, you know, the Blitz, der Adler, and the Laserblitz. The special order for this platoon is Blitzkrieg, which works exactly the same as the Commander Troops Blitzkrieg order. You know, once per command phase, you know, the command section can issue a Blitzkrieg order to one unit in the platoon, and that order unit takes a single move action regardless of any suppression or reaction that may be on it. The unit does not gain a reaction marker when given the order, like it would when, you know, given a take action order. Blitzkrieg is something that Axis players know that, you know, you should use frequently, you know, every turn, you know, Blitzkrieg something in position, unless you just want it to stay there, I suppose. You know, it's probably the most useful special order the Axis has, or at least one of the most frequently used orders. And, you know, you can use it in this platoon as well. And so one interesting thing about this platoon is that you can actually take a battery of Lotars. You can take two support units, two Beobachter teams, to, you know, to act as spotters. And then you can, because medium Panzer Walker in the second, third, and fourth sections can all be loters, so you can just have artillery in the back just constantly bombarding, the enemy as a kind of a support option, while the other infantry unit, goes and takes objectives and, kills units and so on and so forth. So, you can also back that up with some light Panzer Walkers, of course. You can, put a Heinrich or two in your platoon, and, it can get pretty crazy, actually. But I think this is actually meant more as a support thing. If you want those Lotars to batter the battlefield, and the Heinrichs to shoot down aircraft, then they're supposed to be doing it kind of in the background while your infantry are, the real stars of the show. The Allies also get a mecha platoon, a Walker platoon. The Armoured Walker platoon has a command section that must be the boss, corps officers, the heavy range command squad, Bazooka Joe version 1.0 or Bazooka Joe version 2.0. Bazooka Joe is actually listed twice in the PDF, but that's actually a typo. It has to be either Bazooka Joe or Epic Joe. So that's the command section, and all vehicles in this section also have radio, just like the Axis platoon. So they all take orders as if they're issued by a radio man. And for additional transport, the platoon can include one additional transport support unit, which must be a mobile HQ, or if it's led by Bazooka Joe, it can be an M2A Mickey, piloted by Bazooka Joe, who gains Pilot Mickey as a special ability. So if you take a Mickey as the additional transport, then it becomes Bazooka Joe's personal walker. And of course, the AP cost of the unit must be paid as normal. So in the Allied version of the Mecha Platoon, the first section, the mandatory first section, has to be any M1 Light Assault Walker, any M2 Medium Walker, or any M3 Medium Walker. The second section is any M1 Light, M2 Medium, M3 Medium, or M5 Heavy Destroyer Walker. The third section is any M1 Light, any M2 Medium, any M3 Medium, any M5 Heavy, or any M6 Heavy. And the fourth section is M2, M3, M5, and M6. Medium, Medium, Heavy, Heavy. And the support unit, 1 per 2 sections, as usual, can be Recon Boys, Devil Dogs, Grim Reapers, Tank Busters, Red Devils, 13 Foxtrot Observer Team, spotters basically, the Long Tom 2, the Sky Sweeper, or any Pelican aircraft. And it's actually quite scary to think that you could pack walkers in this platoon along with Grim Reapers as support, which is pretty decent, as the Grim Reapers are one of the best, if not the best, infantry unit for the Allies in the game. At least the one that everyone seems to always take, when I face Allies, and it's like, well, you've got Grim Reapers, what a surprise. The special order for the platoon is covering fire. Once per command phase, the platoon's command section can order a covering order to one vehicle that has no reaction markers. The unit immediately makes a sustained attack action, and after resolving this order, the unit gains a reaction and out of ammo marker, and must take a reload action to remove the out of ammo marker. So those are the Axis and the Allied armored platoons. As I said earlier, it's a good idea to not make a Walker army. Well, actually, it looks like it's not a good idea because they're not. Walkers are good in support, but they're not that great as just their own army. And I think Battlefront is trying to discourage people from just taking mecha armies. They're trying to encourage people to take a diverse force as they've done all this time, instead of just going I'm going to take 2 Walker platoons and that's it. So the Achilles beta is currently rumbling on as I record this. I think it's going to end at some point in early December 2013, I think. Possibly, maybe. I think the idea is that it's just going to run for as long as it has to, and then, when everyone seems to think that, it's okay, it's done, there's no more, nothing more to test, then it's going to be released officially as, the Achilles PDF for Dust Warfare. One thing to bear in mind, if you are going to be playing playtest games for Achilles, for the Achilles beta, is that at the time of recording, not everything is out yet, so you might have to proxy some stuff, which is just a normal part of playtesting. You just use counts as units. These commander troop are actually, steel guards or, of whatever. These Grim Reapers are, whatever else. So if you want to playtest, then just grab whatever, you have. You don't actually have to go out and buy the units just to playtest them. Just grab whatever you have and, do some playtest games. Submit them. You have to submit them as a kind of a battle report to, basically describe what went on during your game. And you also have to make a hypothesis as well for your game. So, for example, your hypothesis might be, a Steel Guard platoon is invincible against an Axis armored platoon, for example. You know, that might not actually be the case, but you know, if that's your hypothesis, then you play the game to test whether that's true or not. You know, that's the kind of playtesting that Battlefront is looking for. And overall, I'm pretty happy with how the beta is going so far. It's nice to have rules at last for Achilles. And it looks like from Babylon onwards, we won't have to wait behind the tactics release to see warfare rules. The warfare rules will be in the same boxes as the tactics rules, and you know, there won't be that long delay between tactics rules and warfare rules coming out, which is, you know, always annoyed warfare players. So if you want to take part in the beta testing, then just head over to worldofdust.net or dust-tactics.com. which seems to be the more official version of the address. I like worldofdust.net because, you know, it's a world of dust. It's not just Dust Tactics, it's warfare and everything else as well. So head over there, get your copy of the Achilles beta. It's on the front page, you can't miss it. Sign up for the World of Dust forums if you haven't done so already, because you'll need to do that to, you know, discuss the beta and, you know, everything else. And yeah, take part, you know, play a few playtest games and help to shape the future direction, you know, the eventual final direction, the eventual final form of Operation Achilles for Dust Warfare. Okay, that was Zero Station episode number 3. As always, thank you very much for listening. The thing I want to mention at the end of this week's show is that the YouTube channel, youtube.com/unitforward, now has unboxing videos for Wave 8.1, which is Operation Achilles, the actual box set itself, the new Horton, and the Devil Dogs for the Allies. So if you haven't seen those yet, you know, head over there, check out the videos, and, you know, see what's inside. You know, you can see what's inside those particular boxes. Also, please feel free to leave a comment. You know, if you can stand the new YouTube comment system. Why, Google? Why? Okay, so yeah, if you want to get in touch with Unit Forward, then you can also do so at the usual address, hello@unitforward.com. Unit Forward is also on Twitter, twitter.com/unitforward, facebook.com/unitforward for Facebook. There is a Google Plus address, which actually now has, the page now has a new address, which is plus.google.com/+unitforward. You know, Google has bestowed a short URL upon the page. Or you can also use the old version as well, unitforward.com/G+, if that's easier to remember. So despite the new YouTube comment system, why Google, why? The Google Plus page for Unit Forward is still there, still hanging on, you know, despite what Google's doing. And so, yeah, I think that's about it for episode 3. Until next time, see ya! This podcast is released under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 3.0 Unported license. That means you can give this podcast to anyone you want as long as the author is credited. But you can't make your own episode, and you can't use this episode for commercial purposes without the author's permission.